Lesson 2, Building Hello World Using a Variable. In this lesson, we're going to build our Hello World application, but this time using a variable instead of using just a static template. So I've selected Spring Initializer. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to select my application name, Spring Boot 2. We're going to select the web and Timeleaf dependencies again. And click Finish. Remember, we have to wait until the configuration has been done before we start editing our application. All right, now, first we're going to create our controller. So let's expand the application, the source file, the main folder, the Java folder, and right-click on our package name, and then select New Java Class. I like to name my first controller my home controller. You can name them whatever you want. But once that's done, remember, in order to use it as a controller, we have to give it the controller annotation. And then we're going to go and create a method that returns a string. Let's call it homepage again. But this time, it's going to take parameters. Model. And this is going to respond to the route. And let's say we return home template. Now, what we did here with model is we're telling our method to create a variable called model, lowercase m, of type model, uppercase M, which comes from the Spring Framework UI library. And what this does is it allows us to pass values into our templates and retrieve values back out of our templates. And in order to add one to it, we just say model.addAttribute. And then we can give our variable a name. I'm going to call mine myvar. And then we can give it a string, a value to send to the page. And it's going to be say hello to the people. Now, to be clear, it doesn't have to be a string. The reason why this little ghost S and this little ghost O is there, it's there as helpers to tell you it needs a string as the first value, which is the name of the variable. But for the second value, it can be any object. You can pass any object onto the page, and then the page will be able to interpret it as belonging to that variable. So we have our controller set up. Let's expand the resources folder, right-click on templates and say new HTML file. And we need to name it the same thing that we're returning from the home page method. So I'm going to call it home template. Once home template is created, we are going to, like we did last time, have a level 2 header that says hello world. But then in addition to that, we're going to add a paragraph tag. And inside the paragraph tag, we're going to set the attribute text equals $ curly bracket myvar. All right, so let's talk about what we did here. Remember, we were passing a value, a variable called myvar, onto the template using model. Well, this is where we use it. So the th attribute is a Timeleaf attribute that says inject into the text, into the body of this tag. So the value that we're putting here won't show up in the attribute list. It'll actually show up in here, inside the paragraph tag. And we're saying set it equal to the text value of this expression. And the $ curly bracket tells Timeleaf to evaluate the text that's inside as if it were a variable name. And as we know, myvar is a variable because we created it right here inside of our controller. So let's take a look at what's going to happen here. So we're going to get not just hello world, but a paragraph tag with some text inside the paragraph tag. So when we run our application by clicking the run button next to the configuration, remember, running a Spring Boot application is a two-stage process. First, it has to build and compile the Spring Boot application, which is this right here. Secondly, Spring Boot then has to search all the classes that you've made for the annotations that tell it how to operate. Once we see this Tomcat started on port 8080, then we know we're ready for action. So we bring up our window, and this is the same one I did last time. Last time it was just hello world, but when I hit enter, it says hello world, say hello to the people. And if I view the source, I can see I now have a paragraph tag where the text of the tag, the content of the tag is say hello to people. It's not an attribute. We don't see th text. We don't even see the XML namespace up here in the HTML tag. All of that is handled on the server before it gets passed on to the user's browser. And it's just that easy.